Hi friends, Michelle with Garden Jargon, and I am here in my grow room. As you can see, I have a broom. I'm gonna sweep because I made a big mess, but this is why I laid plastic down in my grow room. When I moved into this house, I rent here, I don't own this home, and they had just laid brand new Berber carpet on the floor down here. And when I water my seedlings here in the grow room, I'm not always careful and I dribble on the floor, so I did not want to dribble on the carpet. So I literally laid plastic from wall to wall and taped it so it's sealed, so no water gets through the plastic, and it's really easy to sweep up. So for those of you that have grow rooms and real greenhouses, I envy you. And people that have grow rooms with like a cement floor or linoleum or tile, God bless you. But this is what you do with what you have. So what I'm going to do today is do an onion check-in. I did an experiment on the 17th with a bunch of onions. And I started like 4 varieties of onions in 4 different grow mediums. On the 17th we did this, February 17th. Today's the 27th, so we're 10 days in. And I have to say, nothing sprouted. Which is the joy of seed starting. Especially old seeds and especially onions. So I'm not sure if you know, but onions are very, very, very finicky. And once the seed packets get old, you're going to run into some problems with germination. So give me 1 second. Okay, so here we go. On the 17th of February, I started 4 trays of onions. I did 4 different types of grow mediums, and I grew 1, 2, 3 varieties of large bulb onions, and then 3 varieties of bunching onions. And this is the result I've gotten since 10 days ago. This is very sad, but just know, don't get discouraged. It's the seeds germination issue. And I have to say, onions are the worst if you don't plant them the year that you get them, because their germination rate drops dramatically. I don't know the reason why, but it is on Google, so go ahead and Google it, because I'm not an expert. I just know that this was an epic fail for me, which is fine. I got at least 1 of my 3 out of the way this season. And what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to plant right on top of these non-germinating seeds with new seeds that I went to the store and bought yesterday. So take a look. All right. 10 days ago, I planted this entire tray with onions. This was the seed starter, which was from Jiffy. So this is the mix that I used. The Jiffy seed starting mix. Whew, nice and dusty. So I started sweet Spanish onions here that says sell by 12/20/20. So those seeds are from 2 years ago. The white bunching onions, same thing, 12/20/20. They were in these 6 cells. This was some extra sweet Spanish onions right here in these extras. And this red whatever onion, same thing, it says on the back. Oh yeah, look at that, 2014 it says. Not even kidding, I think that's what it says. Yep, right there on the bottom. So that's kind of old, so those aren't probably going to grow. So that was the Jiffy Start mix. This mix was the greenhouse mix that I got from a friend of mine. He gave me 4 truckloads of this greenhouse compost mix. However, look, all kinds of stuff is growing up in here. These are definitely not onions. So I don't know if this is weed seed. I don't know if these are flowers, but I'm going to go ahead and pick all those out. But when it was like 2 days in and I looked at this stuff and it had little sprouts everywhere, I was like, oh my gosh, onions are growing. No, that's a lie. So exactly the same onions that I planted in this tray, I planted exactly in the same spot in this tray with this mix. And the only thing that's growing are these bunching onions. Parade bunching onions that are from 2022. So these are the only onions that have sprouted thus far, except for this is not an onion, obviously. There's a couple extra little fun leafy things in there that we can pull out. So that I was excited to see. But had all these seeds been brand new this year, I'd have this many onion plants all over the place. This tray was the potting mix, which was the Nature's Care organic potting mix. That's the mix that was in this tray. Again, the same 3 onions I planted there and in there were in here, except for the bunching onions were the evergreen bunching onions with the pelleted seeds, and they're still in here, and I can still see some of the pellets. Every time I water, it kind of uncovers them and they float to the surface. So I'm going to keep those wet and see if anything comes up from there. What are those from? 2020. So yeah, they're probably not going to grow. So the last mix is my homemade mixture for seed starting mix, which is peat, perlite, and vermiculite. And I put that in here. The only difference in this back 6 cells right here is I sprinkled peat moss over the top to cover the seeds when we planted them. And again, that's a evergreen bunching onion. That was from 2020 as well. So I went to Home Depot and Menards yesterday and I got some more seeds. I got bunching onions. I got sweet Spanish onions, and I got Walla Walla. These are the onion seeds that are going to do well in our area here in Chicago. Grow Zone 5B, our last frost dates, right around Mother's Day. Lots of bunching onions. I got some peas. Oh, more Walla Walla. I could not find any red onion seeds, so I'm probably going to have to order some from Johnny's or Baker Creek. I did find these turnips. My friend does not like the purple top turnips, so I found these. I thought maybe we could try growing some of those. Celery has to be started like ASAP. Oh, these are some more of those turnips. And then the loofah gourd. I've never grown that before, so I'm going to try that. So I'm going to go ahead and plant all of these new onions right on top of all of these non-germinating onions and relabel them, and let's see what happens. So what I am doing here is basically opening up a bunch of packets and then sprinkling the seeds on top of the existing cells that I just had no success with my germination. I didn't bother doing new soil because it's obviously not going to germinate any of those onions, especially after 10 days. And there's not even a little peep of green coming out of those. So I'm sprinkling them in here, and then I take a chopstick and I stir it up a little bit. And that basically just makes sure that a little bit of soil is covering up the seed so that it can germinate. And then I water them really heavy with some water that I pulled out of the hose in the laundry room. We'll see what happens. So there you have it. I replanted the seeds on top of the old seeds because the old seeds aren't going to come up. So I planted sweet Spanish, Walla Walla, and more bunching onions. And then you saw that I stirred them up a little bit with the stick just to kind of loosen the soil on the top and let those seeds kind of fall in the soil pit. Onion seeds are always going to come back no matter how deep you plant them. It'll just take longer if they're deep. These cells are only about 2 inches thick. These 6 cells that I have in these 24 trays. excuse me, these trays I got from a friend of mine, and they have holes in them. So what I did was, I'll show you. These are the cells, trays that he gave me. And as you can see, there's holes in them. So I put one tray down, I laid a sheet of plastic on it, and then I set another tray right inside of it. So it kind of doubles up, so it's not as flimsy. And then I can water and it won't leak through. So that's what I did last year for a bunch of flowers that I planted in these. And I wanted thicker cells. Like these are like 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches. So I wanted more grow space than just like these things. These, I mean, are just as deep, but not as wide. And I wanted to fit way more onions in these cells, because you just kind of pull that block of soil out with the onions on them, and you plant them in the garden later down the road once they sprout, if they sprout. I literally have 2 or 3 epic fails every year, and at least I got one out of the way right away. I will never plant onion seeds again that are not from the season that I purchased them. So keep that in mind. It takes 10 days to see germination on these, so I will do another video, and that will be actually part 4. This is part 3. That will be onions part 4 for 2022. The saga continues with onions. So how can I grow onions by mistake? Because that's happened, but I can't grow them intentionally. We're going to figure that out. I just watched another YouTube channel that's actually a fellow gardener here in the Chicagoland area. His channel is Steve in the Garden. That's the name of his channel. Steve in the Garden. He's right here in the Chicagoland area also. He started his onions like 2-3 months ago. And they look like bunching onions right now. And he's getting ready to plant them in the ground in about another month. He's going to have amazing onions this year. So now I'm so jealous. And I've already put it in my calendar for next season to start them in like the end of December, beginning of January. So note to self, in the Chicagoland area, Grow Zone 5B, that's when I'm going to start my onions next year. So these will be a little behind. I might not get a lot of good harvest right in the beginning of the season, but at least I'll have a bunch of onions by the end of the season. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, I'm Michelle with Garden Jargon. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, because it actually helps my channel and it helps me move forward in the future to share these videos with a bunch of people just like you that are on YouTube trying to figure out how to garden. So I've done it a couple years now, and I'm learning as I go. So thanks for joining me today and learning as we go together. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.